Hi, it's Joe Wains from TurtleWorks with a how-to video on connecting Power BI to SharePoint Online. TurtleWorks, if you want to learn more about ways to leverage Power BI or leverage SharePoint within your business, you can go to the TurtleWorks website, which is https://turtle.works. Now, as far as the how-to, I'm working with some quality data that I have. So if say you're working on creating your own quality software, or you've got some quality inspection stuff that you're doing, this would be relevant. But connecting Power BI to a SharePoint Online list is the same regardless of the scenario that you're in. So this is what the SharePoint list looks like. I've renamed the title column to serial/gauge number, and then we've got some other columns here. So that's what SharePoint looks like. And then here we have Power BI. So I've just opened up Power BI. We simply click on Get Data, and we'll be presented with this wizard. We can click Online Services and SharePoint Online List and select Connect. Now it prompts for a site URL. So notice that it says site and not list, and that's what you really need to feed it, is the site URL. So quality here is the name of the site that the gauge calibration list resides in. Click OK, and I'll be presented with all the lists that reside in that quality site. So I want gauge calibration. And notice that it shows us a preview, and there are columns here that really we didn't see when we reviewed the SharePoint list. That's because SharePoint uses those to manage the list in the background. So we're going to click Transform Data instead of Load, so we have a chance to sculpt the data. We're going to do three things here. We're going to only show the columns that we care about. We're going to change the data types of a couple date times so that they are date times. And then we're going to deal with the fact that that title column is well, I'll talk about the title column when I get there. So first, let's work through selecting what columns. So ID, title, plant, department, gauge type, manufacturer, and the calibration dates. Click OK. So now I only have the columns that I care about coming forward. Let's just go ahead and deal with title at this point. So SharePoint has, whenever you create a column in a list, it has an internal and an external name for that column. They usually match up when you first create the column. But if you rename the column, externally users will see the renamed column value, but they internally SharePoint will still use the original name. So in this case, even though I renamed that column to serial/gauge number, the internal name for that column is still title. So I'm going to go ahead and rename it in Power BI so that the users get what they expect. And then let's bounce down to these dates. So these two dates are, they're date times, but Power BI is recognizing them as alphanumeric. So we're just going to flip their data type to date time. And then there's one other thing, this ID column is always a number. So let's make it a number instead of alphanumeric. At this point, we're done. So we've connected Power BI to the SharePoint list. We've gotten the data the way we want it. Now let's bring it over and do a little work with it. All right, so there's my data set, and if we expand these, you'll notice that there's a hierarchy for these dates. That's a thing that Power BI does. So if you really wanted to get granular and work with things in groups, like what happened the first quarter of 2019, you could do that. But you can also just deal with the date, and I'll show you how that works. So let's add a table to this page, and then we'll expand out this. We'll grab serial number, department, frequency, gauge type, manufacturer, method. And now we'll deal with these two guys here. So notice how it brings across year, quarter, month, and day for that one column. Most of the time I do not want to look at dates that way, and I'm guessing that's true for you as well. So if we come over here, you can click on this downward pointing arrow and select show me the last calibration date and show me the next calibration date, and it changes it to that date time expectation that we have. Now I'm going to add a slicer for manufacturer, and we can size that appropriately. And now you can see if I flip around on manufacturer, I'm getting what I expected. So again, connecting Power BI to SharePoint Online. In this case, we're dealing with a quality software kind of scenario. Also, if you want to learn other ways to leverage Microsoft Power BI, certainly visit my website, Turtle.works. Thanks.